A Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold. Part 4. The Upshot. Chapter 1. The Land Ethic. Section 6. The Land Pyramid. An ethic to supplement and guide the economic relation to land presupposes the existence of some mental images of land as a biotic mechanism. We can be ethical only in relation to something we can see, feel, understand, love, or otherwise have faith in. The image commonly employed in conservation education is the balance of nature. For reasons too lengthy to detail here, this figure of speech fails to describe accurately what little we know about the land mechanism. A much truer image is the one employed in ecology, the biotic pyramid. I shall first sketch the pyramid as a symbol of land and later develop some of its implications in terms of land use. Plants absorb energy from the sun. This energy flows through a circuit called the biota, which may be represented by a pyramid consisting of layers. The bottom layer is the soil. A plant layer rests on the soil, an insect layer on the plants, a bird and rodent layer on the insects, and so on up through various animal groups to the apex layer, which consists of the larger carnivores. The species of a layer are alike not in where they came from or in what they look like, but rather in what they eat. Each successive layer depends on those below it for food and often for other services, and each in turn furnishes food and services to those above. Proceeding upward, each successive layer decreases in numerical abundance. Thus, for every carnivore, there are hundreds of his prey, thousands of their prey, millions of insects, uncountable plants. The pyramidal form of the system reflects this numerical progression from apex to base. Man shares an intermediate layer with the bears, raccoons, and squirrels, which eat both meat and vegetables. The lines of dependency for food and other services are called food chains. Thus, soil, oak, deer, Indian is a chain that has now been largely converted to soil, corn, cow, farmer. Each species, including ourselves, is a link in many chains. The deer eats 100 plants other than oak, and the cow 100 plants other than corn. Both, then, are links in 100 chains. The pyramid is a tangle of chains so complex as to seem disorderly, yet the stability of the system proves it to be a highly organized structure. Its functioning depends on the cooperation and competition for its diverse parts. In the beginning, the pyramid of life was low and squat, the food chains short and simple. Evolution has added layer after layer, link after link. Man is one of thousands of accretions to the height and complexity of the pyramid. Science has given us many doubts, but it has given us at least one certainty. The trend of evolution is to elaborate and diversify the biota. Land, then, is not merely soil. It is a fountain of energy flowing through a circuit of soils, plants, and animals. Food chains are the living channels which conduct energy upward. Death and decay return it to the soil. The circuit is not closed. Some energy is dissipated in decay, some is added by absorption from the air, some is stored in soils, peats, and long-lived forests, but it is a sustained circuit like a slowly augmented revolving fund of life. There is always a net loss by downhill wash, but this is normally small and offset by the decay of rocks. It is deposited in the ocean and in the course of geological time raised to form new lands and new pyramids. The velocity and character of the upward flow of energy depend on the complex structure of the plant and animal community, much as the upward flow of sap in a tree depends on its complex cellular organization. Without this complexity, normal circulation would presumably not occur. Structure means the characteristic numbers, as well as the characteristic kinds and functions of the component species. This interdependence between the complex structure of the land and its smooth functioning as an energy unit is one of its basic attributes. When a change occurs in one part of the circuit, many other parts must adjust themselves to it. Change does not necessarily obstruct or divert the flow of energy. Evolution is a long series of self-induced changes, the net result of which has been to elaborate the flow mechanism and to lengthen the circuit. Evolutionary changes, however, are usually slow and local. Man's invention of tools has enabled him to make changes of unprecedented violence, rapidity, and scope. One change is in the composition of floras and faunas. The larger predators are lopped off the apex of the pyramid. Food chains, for the first time in history, become shorter rather than longer. Domesticated species from other lands are substituted for wild ones, and wild ones are moved to new habitats. In this worldwide pooling of faunas and floras, some species get out of bounds as pests and diseases, others are extinguished. Such effects are seldom intended or foreseen. They represent unpredicted and often untraceable readjustments in the structure. Agricultural science is largely a race between the emergence of new pests and the emergence of new techniques for their control. Another change touches the flow of energy through plants and animals and its return to the soil. Fertility is the ability of soil to receive, store, and release energy. Agriculture, by overdraft on the soil or by too radical a substitution of domestic for native species in the superstructure, may derange the channels of flow or deplete storage. Soils depleted of their storage or of the organic matter which anchors it wash away faster than they form. This is erosion. Waters, like soil, are part of the energy circuit. Industry, by polluting waters or obstructing them with dams, may exclude the plants and animals necessary to keep energy in circulation. Transportation brings about another basic change. The plants or animals grown in one region are now consumed and returned to the soil in another. Transportation taps the energy stored in rocks and in the air and uses it elsewhere. Thus, we fertilize the garden with nitrogen gleaned by the guano birds from the fishes of seas on the other side of the equator. Thus, the formerly localized and self-contained circuits are pulled on a worldwide scale. The process of altering the pyramid for human occupation releases stored energy, and this often gives rise, during the pioneering period, to a deceptive exuberance of plant and animal life, both wild and tame. These releases of biotic capital tend to becloud or postpone the penalties of violence.